Hey everyone, this time we're gonna show you how we build a kite. We built this kite completely here in the office in Harlem. Me and the team were working many hours to complete this mission, but we're very happy with the result that we got with just the limited of sources that we got in comparison to our factories, of course. So check out the journey, and I hope you learned something from it, and I hope you're gonna build your kite. So we're starting here at Unfold in Harlem, where we could use their laser cutting machine. This helps a lot in the process because it's really detailed, and if you need to do this with a scissor, what we did back in the days, if we talk about beginning of 2000s, then imagine how much work this would be. So you see on the time lapse, going very quickly, enjoyable ways to take out all the parts. And we're back in the office, and we're starting with putting the puzzle together. We glue all the parts together with a double-sided tape. This will make the kite more rigid and will make it way easier to put everything together under the stitching machine. We do the horizontal lines already, but not the detailed lines yet, because you want to do them in one line. You never want to do a little bit. Now you see a little bit of the actual speed of the gluing instead of the time lapse. So it's quite a puzzle and it takes quite a lot of time. So here you see we're doing the horizontal stitches already. We always go from one side completely to the other side to have the nicest look on a kite. Here you see me stitching the A in, going around all the corners and making sure that you have the nice bends in there as well. And now we're going on my speed. I am not as good as they are in the factory. If you see, I'm not going on like full speed. The machine, I'm going on my own nice tempo to have this kite as good as possible. Now we're starting on the wingtip, and after this we're gonna go to the leading edge. Wingtip is a very important part with a lot of doubled darkron, so that it's extra strong. Here you see us discussing, because the leading edge is very important, because you have to bend it the correct way, because otherwise it bends the other way and it flies completely different. So first we had to search how to put the puzzles together, and then we started sticking. Then stitch 1 is going in. First you connect the parts together with a straight stitch. It starts already to bend a little bit, you can see it on the video, so that you have the correct way of bending the leading edge. Very important is the white strip that you have on there. White strip is insignia tape. It helps you to reinforce from the inside, because every time you punch a hole in it, it becomes weaker, and the leading edge needs to be the strongest as possible. You see Stef here putting a line to help me out, because if I'm folding it over, then you need to stretch it out completely so that you have the perfect bend in it. You see already on the footage how the material bends around the stitching machine. Here I'm stitching up some one pump valves. We reinforce this as well to make sure that on the weaker spots where you have the holes that it's always reinforced. You see me and Stef here starting on the connection points for the bridles. Yeah, there comes a lot. The connection points of the bridles are made out of a piece of rope, a piece of darkron. Then on top of it, what I'm doing now is some reinforcement for if it goes around, and then of course closing it up. It's very important that you place the connection point exactly on the point where it needs to be, because otherwise the kite will fly also different again. So it's a very precise work on the leading edge, and we really took our time for this. So now we have the canopy almost finished, so we're gonna print on it. Now we are just doing the old-fashioned way of printing, because we don't have such a big printer as in the factory of Brainchild, but this is how it goes normally. Piece by piece it's made and printed on it, or it's screen printed. We printed it like this because this was the access that we had. Now we're starting on the struts. Struts is similar to the leading edge. One straight stitch and one zigzag stitch to make the struts also as strong as possible. Now time is there to put the leading edge onto the struts, but again figuring out how to place it correctly, that we not do it incorrectly. You see on the right side we have a kite that we always checked on. Reinforcements for the top, very precise small work, and was hard to get. Closing up the struts. It's the same process for the leading edge later on, but the struts could already be closed earlier, so I thought let's do this. It makes it easier to stitch it on later to the kite. Here you see me pulling in all the struts one by one before I'm continuing. Checking if everything is correctly. And now it's time to tape on the canopy to the leading edge. First of all, glue it on again, that everything is precise, that it stays there and easy for the stitching machine. And then it's time to put everything together, starting already to look really like a kite. The hard thing of this process, for sure, in a small office as us, is we don't have the huge tables that they have in the factories, so it's sometimes harder, so I need to use the floor and stuff like this. Now I'm gluing on the strut towards the canopy because they are also attached. And of course stitching it on again. And then one of the last parts, and that is closing up the leading edge. First of all, I need to reinforce again. You see the white stitching tape. I also had to stitch it on. The insignia tape again is made to reinforce the punches of the holes, because the leading edge is under a lot of pressure, So the more holes you make into it, the more you need to reinforce it, and that is why we use insignia tape. Here I'm closing the whole thing up and starting on the process of closing the whole leading edge. Again, we don't have the huge tables, so it's quite a process to put this whole kite also under the stitching machine. And then one of the last things, and that is pulling in the leading edge. I worked here till dark. I thought I'm really almost there, so I want to finish this up because I was very stoked after all these hours working on it to see the final product. It takes a few tries to put it in. You always need to inflate and deflate it. And here the process is starting for the last part, because yeah, the kite is finished, but we still have some bridles to make. So here I'm doing the bridles with a rumble lock splice. It's quite a lot of handwork, but it's very easy, and I recommend, if you would like to splice your own lines or learn this, to ask me or watch some YouTube videos about it, because very useful tool for if you're in the middle of nowhere and you need something done on your lines. Of course, now it's searching again which line is going where. Of course we know this, but it's again checking, double checking, and making sure everything is correctly. And then here we go. We are finished and off to the water. So enjoy some of the shots that I made in South Africa.